All right, this is JPEG to RAW photo review show number 31, and we're going to wrap up the May images as we slowly get caught up here, AD. Before we start the review of the May images, let's talk about how you can enter. There's still, today's the 29th. There's still a few days left to enter the July contest. And you just go over to jpegtoraw.com/contest. And there you have links to the beginners and regulars group. If you want to enter straight from the website, or you can, the easiest way is just go down and find the links to go to the Facebook groups and enter there if you're a member of our Facebook groups. If you're still on Facebook, I know not everybody is still on Facebook, but if you're still on Facebook and that you want to enter that way, you can go there to either one of the groups. The album's going to be pinned at the top, and you just enter like that. Otherwise, you can enter straight from here just by clicking on one of these green buttons there. All right, so that is how you enter. You want to go ahead and get started and go right to the first image?
Let's get in there.
All right, and before we go into this, I want to mention that in both groups, the theme was open, so there was no specific theme.
Cool.
And we're going to do the beginners group first with this image from Daniel Sandberg. He says, a nice autumn day in the Midlands outside of Durban, South Africa.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like the color of this one. It looks like you probably took it with maybe a wide angle lens. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I just want to read down and make sure that there wasn't any more information. So, yeah, so it's a little tough. We always talk about this, but we don't usually say it when Mike tells you how to enter. We don't say it there because it can kind of get lost sometimes. So when we're talking about like the image and doing a critique, which is what we do here, we try not to criticize the photos. We try to do critiques, and critiques are usually based upon the goals of the individual taking the shot. But here we don't really have any goals. I can say a nice autumn day in the Midlands. It looks like a beautiful day. So I can't really offer too much as far as constructive feedback on how you could get that message across any better. What I can offer you maybe is a little bit of technical detail that I would do myself, and you can take it however you want to. And that's pretty much, I have to preface what I say before I say that, because I don't want people to think that, well, he always says to do this and do that, and I don't understand why. And these are just things that I would do if this were my photo.
Before you go, what kind of thing would you, to give an idea to maybe Daniel, what would it help you? What could he say to help you?
Yeah. So the thing that helps me the most is to know why you took the photo. So there is always something that causes us to take our camera phone out, that causes us to get our camera out, put it on a tripod, or even just hold it and press that shutter button. For me, it's like when I do it, I see something pretty, or I see something that tells a story, and I want to capture that and remember it and bring it back and show others. And then once I get home and I put it in Lightroom, or maybe I just upload it to the internet sometimes, it just depends. I'll look at the photo, and if I see that I can help the photo kind of generate that story a little bit, I'll work with the color, work with the crop maybe sometimes. And we do a lot of talking about composition. I think the beginners, the biggest thing I'd like to see before we get into color composition and all this technical jargon stuff, basic composition to me is the most important part of any photograph, because it means that you really, you are putting your energy into bringing that story to me. So that means you're focused on how can I best bring this image to other folks. Otherwise, we categorize those, unfortunately, into snapshots, which is what, we don't think. We just bring up the camera and go, pop, we're done. We're out of here.
Right.
And, and some people, I hate them very much, can do that naturally. I've seen some people just pop, 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 pop. They're not even thinking. They're just pop, pop, pop. That's what, and they come home with an image. It's like, wow, okay, I don't like you anymore, because it looks really good. And that's called, you probably heard, it's called having the eye,
right.
And I was accused of that when I first started. And then I didn't believe it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just capturing images. I wasn't paying attention to composition or any of that stuff. I just captured an image and I made it look the way I wanted to make it look, and that was it. And then I went and learned about this composition stuff unwillingly. I pushed myself into it to learn it, and learned about toning and learned about color grading and how colors affect our moods, which is a thing that people don't even realize, the colors of an image and
Absolutely, yeah.
lines of an image, right? And after I learned all that, I went out and practiced. And now when I go out, I don't think about that stuff so much anymore, but it's happening. It's already happening because it's in me. And sometimes I purposefully get in a rut and go, no, I'm going to shoot something completely wrong just to see, what the difference is here. And it helps align me, I think, a little bit better. So what we'll talk about with Daniel's photo here is a little bit of kind of just some border patrol, some things that are about the composition the way it is, and some things that can help this. So this is what is known as a symmetrical composition. It's shot right down the road. It's got everything is in its place, equal on both sides of the image, even though the trees are different. But we have two main pillars here with the road going straight through the middle, except Daniel is a little off to the left. Mm-hmm. So we can tell this by the grate that's in the road. We can tell it by the two pillars, which are kind of angled a little bit differently. You can see their angles are a little bit different. So
and the dirt in the middle of the road too.
Yeah, it's not in the middle of the road. It's a little askew. Now, I will tell you, there's no such thing as almost symmetrical. It doesn't. You're
driving that home. Yep, that's something we all should be telling ourselves. At least when you're editing. I don't know this one. You might not have been able to edit to fix that.
Well, you can't because of the angles and the way things are. And the more I shoot symmetrical images, the more I hate them because they're really hard to do in the field. You really have to look at every angle, double check, triple check, and then do it again and check it all. And then I find after I do all that, then I look in I look down the viewfinder and I look on the back of the camera and it's wrong. And I'm like, I lined everything up, but now I can see that it's completely, so Daniel, you want to work on, this is a symmetrical photo. So you have to get that right. Exactly. Now you don't have to have it framed perfectly, but you've got to get your angles. So I'm looking at the lines from here, which differs from here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Gary. Gary's got a keen eye for this stuff. A little about what Gary mentions as well, because that was part of it as well. And Mike, you mentioned it at the beginning. All of these lines are kind of going in different angles, and what that does is it gives us a kind of an uneasy feeling. Like, I looked at this and my brain said, what a creepy place. That's what my brain said.
Yeah, our first thought was a cemetery.
But then when I look at it, I'm like, this is like an inviting country road, but I don't get that feeling from it. And it's the angles. And what angles do is they create tension. And we don't even realize it, but that's what they do. That when the angles are different like this, when they're askew. And one of the things that Gary mentions is the on top of the pillars here, the spheres up here on top of the pillars are kind of stretched. And that's because of what Mike mentioned at the beginning. He used a wide angle lens. And we have to be careful with that. It's a little bit of a pin cushioning distortion that happens with wide angle lenses. And the way you can cure that is to move back and use a zoom lens to zoom in a little bit. So you end up with the same sort of composition. And I always tell people, don't be lazy. Take a couple of lenses with you and find out what the difference is between using a wide angle close-up and then moving back and using, say, a 50 millimeter rather than a 24 millimeter. You will see things take on a completely different look. Now, if he was going for kind of that creepy kind of look, the image is a little too warm in that case. So I would have processed the toning different. So here's where we start to get into like a conflict of the way that it looks. So I loaded this up into Lightroom. I don't know if I can share, Mike, with you.
I'm hoping you can.
We're going to try. We don't know if this is going to work, folks, so bear with us. I'm going to hit the share button wherever that went now. It's okay. Share screen. Shares. No, I don't want to share the sound. And that's the screen I want to share. Okay, here it comes, Mike.
Okay.
Oh, look at you,
There we
man.
go. I was on the button.
What was that? That was like so smooth. Unbelievable. Mike always tells me like it's, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work, and then it works perfect every time.
Don't jinx
All
me.
right. Right. So we have some lines here that I kind of want to talk about. So this line of the grate down here at the bottom, because it's not symmetrical, and I can't zoom in, unfortunately. Oh, maybe I can. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. It's not going to be clear, guys, so don't worry here.
Right.
This is a fairly low res, but you can see if I move this image towards the bottom of my Lightroom, you can see this grate is kind of curved up.
Yeah.
And that's your lens distortion doing that. So let me just, first off, the very first thing I want to show you guys real quick is lens distortion. We put it in manual under lens corrections down here. I'm going to click the constrain crop button, which means that it won't bend the image in. So if I don't have that checked, this is what you get. So watch. You get this, like, you get that. We don't want that. So if I hit constrain crop, though, there. Okay, so you can see already that grate is straightened out. So this is what it was before. See how it's like ballooning?
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. That's what it was before. So it's kind of ballooning out. So you want to make sure that you adjust for this, and see how those grid lines pop up. They give you a perfect a shot at getting that almost right. And you notice how see how the balls change like their size and whatnot. So that's kind of like a lens distortion thing. So that can tell you whether the lens was tilted down or up, or like, because things are in the upper area of this wide angle lens, they're going to tend to stretch out, because that's what wide angle lenses do. So you might not be able to fix that. And if that bugs you, then you want to step back and use a longer lens, like a 50 millimeter, and those will go back to looking round again rather than stretched out. So that's how you would fix that. And the other adjustment that you could fix a little bit of this with is this transform tool. And I use this a lot because a lot of times perspective and symmetry eludes me. So I'll show you how you can quickly make a few repairs to this image. We won't be able to fix it. This is really one of those images where it's exercise. You should practice. But I'm just going to draw a straight line between two parts of the pillars that I know should be level. So we're going to hit that one first. Nothing happens yet. And then the other thing that's not level is the tops of these spheres. So I'm going to make those level as well. You can see that the one over here is a little lower. Well, watch when I let go of this, what happens. There we go. Okay, so now we're starting to level it out a little bit. And the uprights look pretty good, but it's kind of tilted back a little bit. So I can also do the vertical. So I can grab a hold of here and just draw down the vertical of that pillar, and then do the same thing on the other side. And that will square everything up and give us as much symmetry as we possibly can get out of this image. Now it's still a little bit leany down here, so you can actually bring this down. See if I put it down there, see how that grate is kind of going up on this side? And that might have been a problem just with the grate might have been bent from cars running over it. I don't know. You could fix that in Photoshop if you really wanted to, or if it bugs you. It didn't really bug me that much, but I can bring this down here and put it here. Doop, and then that'll straighten that out. And then when I take this away, you can see everything is fairly straightened out. But it's the difference for me is the difference between this side of the pillar and this side. He was too far to the left, and you could always tell. You would want to make sure in your camera that this line right here was perfectly straight. And all that does is it makes all the leading lines go to that road and makes the image inviting. And right now they're kind of askew. So, for me, I'd be like, okay, I didn't get it in that. Maybe I need to do a little of that and give it a real, give it a little horror.
Yeah, now it really looks like a cemetery.
Right, exactly. I mean, sometimes you got to go with what you got and whatnot. And I think the photo, other than that, it's a wonderful subject. I hope he lives somewhere close to here, or at least he can take that knowledge of that symmetry. Just always remember, there's nothing, if you're going to be asymmetrical, then be asymmetrical. If you're going to be symmetrical, it's got to be dead on. Don't be in between that, because it doesn't play well with the viewer gets confused. So
if Daniel can go back there and shoot again, and we'd love to see more of this
Absolutely.
place, and with maybe try some of the things AD talked about with a different lens, standing at a little different angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with all of that, beyond that, this is the basics of the photo. The processing, I love the bright, brilliant colors. I think he brought the fall colors
Hmm.
in great. I just think that, let me go back to let's go back to the original. It's just that little bit of symmetry that's off that kind of throws the image and whatnot. And that's kind of the stuff that after you've done this for many, many years, this is kind of when you go for that perfect shot, that's what you're going for, that you look for. So I'm going to unscreen share, Mike.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
I don't remember how to do. Oh, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. There we go. All right. Cool.
That did not quite work.
And I'm half on there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Apparently,
right.
when you unscreen share now, it takes it back into a side-by-side view.
Oh boy.
So I'm not going to be as smooth on the unsharing anymore in the future.
Well, we'll get it in the edit booth.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Daniel, for editing. Up next is this image by Nancy Smith. And hold on, I'll get Nancy's name. Nancy, there we go. And Smith, who I saw out there earlier, I think on YouTube. Nancy was out there. All right. Nancy says, it's been a beautiful color. So Nancy heard what AD said with the first one. Give us a little bit more information, but it's been a colorful spring in my backyard. And I get lots of beautiful birds, and I know Nancy's taken a lot of beautiful photos of birds too in the backyard. So that's something I want to get out and do more of. So she's taken I don't know what kind of bird this is, but it's a colorful bird with a black head.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I don't know if it could be.
Nancy could tell us. She's out there somewhere.
So for me, I like the bird, the nice blurred background, but a little too little of the feeder on the right-hand side. She probably couldn't do anything unless she cloned it out with a chain, which is distracting because of her angle. She'd have to do something different there or clone it all out, which she could have done, but that'd have been some work if you don't know how to do it as well as AD. So then you could have just cropped out and only had the bird itself. Was another thing.
So here's what I do with my photos. When I look at a photo like this, I'm like, first thing I ask myself is, who's the star of the show?
The bird.
So, and she nailed the focus. It's beautiful. It's dead on. And then I say, okay, is there anybody who's trying to be the star of the show? And
in this case, I think the chain is distracting from it. Yeah. For me.
Yeah, it is. And so, Mike, I prepared another screen share.
Awesome.
So we're going to get your practice in. So let me call up my screen. Nancy, I'm going to teach you something, and you can do this along with us at home. We're going to share my screen as soon as it gives me an option to do that. Okay, here we go, Mike. Coming at you.
She says that you're right. It is an Oriole.
Oh, all right. That was a lucky guess. So, orange bird. I don't know many orange birds. So, all right, Nancy, I'm not going to brutalize your photo. I wanted to show you this nifty trick and how they've made this amazing. I'm picking the spot removal brush. I'm just going for it. I've made a big brush here. You can use your bracket keys on the keyboard. I'm going to make it about yay big, about as big as that chain. I've got the feather on 0, the opacity on 100%. I'm going to click at the beginning of the chain. It's going to make a little dot that looks kind of silly. I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to click at the end of the chain, and it's going to go out there and it's going to grab all that and do whatever it does. And it's not done. Then I'm going to take and just scribble over this part of the feeder because I'm mad at the feeder and I don't like it anymore. And it's going to do that, and I'm going to turn it off, and there you go.
Oh, that actually did a much better job than I thought it would.
Yeah, the spot removal tool in the last iteration of Lightroom has been absolutely stunningly good. And I use it now more than the heel brush or anything because it's blending, and they've really stepped it up quite a bit. And so even if I zoom in close, you don't see anything here where that changed the image at all. It looks like it's bokeh right in there, blended in there, nice. And you can see this line if you knew that it was there. And if that bugs you, what I do is I'll turn it back on And then I won't allow that to, like, I'm looking at this one bokeh ball right here, and I'm going to just grab that one, and I'm just going to move it over to here. See how I'm moving to the edge of that one? And look, if I get them lined up just right, I can kind of make it look like that line goes away. And that's all there is to it. So just grab the other one and boom, it's gone. Pretty simple. Now, you know, there's a little bit showing down here at the bottom. Obviously, you'll take more time than I did with it to do that. But I just wanted to show you how easy that was to just let the star of your photo shine. And this also makes us wonder what he's looking at or she is looking at, right? It lends a story now. There's no feeder. So, wow, what's this bird looking at?
And you didn't have to do what I was saying and crop it and make them tighter against the right-hand side.
No, and you could have, you could have.
No, I like your way of doing it better.
My first instinct was to, hey, do this, because that's like right in there, pretty obvious. But then I don't like how close you have to get to, you know, to put it into the thirds. I think it was just like, I just wanted to show how super simple it is to use this tool. And I use it, you know, telephone wires. People often ask me, like, why do you remove things? And I'm like, well, so when I go to a beautiful landscape and man has intruded and put their stupid telephone wires, when they could have put them underground, but they had to put them in the air because it's cheaper and easier, but they ruined the view. So I'm like, I will unruin your view. That's just what I do.
So 2 comments out in chat. One from, I'll do Gary's first. It says the negative space looks great. Yes, that's what I was thinking too. Leaving it this way without doing the crop I had said, leaving it the way you did it, that negative space, I love that extra space over there with that. Nancy says, I guess I overthink my photos. I left the feeder to give an idea of what the bird was where the bird was going. Maybe I need to think less. I get that idea too. Sometimes you want to, you know, give the story of what the bird is looking at. But I think I don't know if Nancy agrees, but seeing the before and after there, I much prefer it without the bird. Even if you left the feeder there, I would have got rid of the chain.
Yeah, it was hard to do that, to get it to look right. I did play with that a little bit. I think though it's, you know, the having the feeder along the edge, it kind of leaves us like, it feels like an unfinished symphony to me. You know, sometimes like it's a note that doesn't. If you don't end on the root at the end of a song, you know, you leave that hanging note there. People feel uncomfortable with that, and this is definitely not an uncomfortable photo. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where, Nancy, don't be afraid to play with and change your photos, especially like all this editing that I do is non-destructive. I could just say reset and it's going to just put all that. If I just hit reset down here, boom, it's right back, and nothing's damaged or changed with the image. So I encourage people, don't finish your photos in one day. Make some edits, come back in another day and look at it with fresh eyes. You might be like, I don't like it anymore, I want to change it, or you know, maybe you're like, wow, yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. So I very rarely will take a photo like on the road and then edit it on the road and then share it with people, unless it's something like taken with my phone or something. But I don't, out of my regular camera, I wait till I get home. I wait till I can put the music on. I can like edit the photo. And then even after I've edited the photo, I'll go back through my film strip 3 or 4 times over a week's time. And I might make 6 or 7 iterations of a photo before I'm like, yeah, okay, now it's there, you know, like, or I might be like, oh man, it's not there, I got to start over, and I'll just go back to the raw file and start again.
You have so much more patience than me.
I've got, yeah,
it's one of the things I got to work on. I want to get through too fast, and move on to the next one and get done. I guess I look at a strip of photos, you know, you only have a few here, but you know, you come back from a shoot and you got 100 or whatever. And I'm always thinking, how fast can I get to the end? And I need to force myself to slow down.
Yeah. I have that compulsion and used to do that as well. And I really just, And if you guys are noticing too, when I'm drawing this line while I'm talking, is you notice how I can't draw a straight line? So that's why I mentioned the use the trick where you click in the first spot and then hit shift and then click in the last spot and it'll draw a line. It is a perfectly straight line every time. And then I can make it smaller and draw and just color this out. And you can overlap these. It does a really good job of overlapping and just drawing. And they made this faster now. It used to be horribly skippy. Like you'd click on it and it would just be like it would take forever. But so now, whoops, I let go of the shift key. That was my fault. Do it afterwards? No, it won't do it afterwards. It'll only do it if I do it right. There we go. So yeah, so you can kind of see like that's what it would look like without the chain in there. And my only concern is, does this feel like it's unfinished? Like
Yeah, no, once you showed it to me without either the chain or the feeder, I prefer it with just the bird and the pole, no chain or feeder.
There you go. So it's really quick to make those edits and very believable. So you can even do other things on here if you want to. Like you could put in a filter like the this is the what do they call this thing? They call it now it's called the radial filter. And you could actually take, and what I do sometimes is I'll take the sharpness and I'll turn it right down and it'll kind of put this nice blur around the outside. So it kind of hides the crimes sometimes if you have the edits. Now, what you could do is you could drag this way out and keep it off his tail a little bit. But see how now if I blur out the tail a little bit, you're almost drawn right to here, right to his head.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you can use little tricks like that to move some of these are like I think of photos as like little mini movies. And even though they're not moving, a viewer's eye is moving when they look at it. They're darting all over the place. And I try to think about how can I control their eye to go where I want it to go. So it's by taking away things. It's by adding things. Sometimes it's by tones and colors, all of those little tricks. So it's a fun little puzzle. But Nancy, keep on I love the fact that you're kind of doing things outside of the norm here and submitting them to the beginners group, and you're helping other people as well. So fantastic job as always. I'm going to unscreen share there, Mike.
All right. Nancy, I hope you have Lightroom and saw how easy that was. All right. There.
Hey, and he unsplit me.
Unsplit you.
Excellent. All right.
So I'm
not going to screen share anymore, Mike. Okay. That's it.
All right. That was it for the beginners group. Now we're going to move on into the regulars group. And first up in that group is this one. Let's see if I got how I have her name. We know her as Gina Perry. She now is going by Gina Clark on Facebook. So I use Gina Clark. I don't know. That's a married name, maiden name, what the story is, but we're just going to go with what she has on there. Gina Perry / Gina Clark with this image of a ladybug on a leaf. And Gina is great with editing, great with photos. She doesn't give us a lot of details. She just says out for lunch with this ladybug. But I love the curve of in the detail you can actually see in the leaf and then the ladybug. If anything, I might have liked to see the ladybug's head a little bit more, in focus. But, the thing of a ladybug is going to be the red back in that dot. So actually, if I had to choose between the head or the back, I probably would have chose the back to be in focus.
Yeah. And so, I was going to ask what your thoughts were on this because I'm torn. I'm not. Yeah, the ladybug's right in the center. And we've got a lot of negative space on the left. We've got negative space over the top. And then we've got this leaf with the detail, which is cool. I think I would have kind of maybe positioned this more in the golden spiral and maybe tried to make that leaf curve kind of come through the thirds a little bit more. Okay. I don't know. For me, it comes down to composition. Composition is still one of the hardest things for people to visualize in their photos, and to then take what's in focus and make that all work out. I think you're right. What she did is put the part that we associate with the ladybug, the red, is or I believe in her country they're called ladybirds.
Are they really?
I believe so.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what they call them there. So I think that she captured the part that we kind of recognize with this beetle, that we know. So that's kind of just uh, you know a personal thing. If she that's what she was going for, that's fine. The only thing you could have done here is focus stack a little bit, which with live animals is really difficult. Luckily, ladybugs sometimes don't move at all, which is great. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of she's got some sensor uh, lines here. Looks like some dirt on the sensor that she's going to want to make sure she clones those out. So they're not distracting. You don't have these little dirty dots everywhere. So I'm seeing quite a few of them here. So Gina, you'll want to find out about getting your sensor cleaned for sure.
So do you think that one on or two I see on the leaf, that's on the sensor, not on the actual leaf?
This is probably back of the element of the lens. If they're out of focus like this, they're usually on the back element of the lens.
Okay.
If they're like this line, are you seeing the same line that I am right here, the vertical line?
Starting where?
So if you look at the dot on the ladybug and you go right, there's a vertical line right there on the coming out of the leaf. There's like a vertical
On the back of the leaf? Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like a black dot next to that. That's most likely on the sensor itself because it's very clear. And those usually show up that way on the sensor as a reflection. So I'd have that checked out just on your lens. You're taking a beautiful image here, and don't allow those, what do we call them, the photo bombers to get in there and take up your image. But I think mostly what I would say here is just play with the composition a little bit and the angle. Don't be afraid to turn your photo and see if another angle works better on the crop. Putting the ladybug maybe more on the bottom or maybe more vertical. Who knows? You just got to play with them. And like I said, I'm not going to edit any more images tonight because it ends up taking too long. But I think it's a wonderful image, and she always submits great stuff anyway. So.
She does.
So yeah, and the color's cool, and awesome stuff as usual.
All right. Up next is this image from Lokhesh Lr. He says Lokhesh Lr. Thought they were just playing around, and later found the one on the right was actually trying to kill the other ant, and finally it succeeded killing it. Was curious to know on why it killed its own species, and found out they don't. Oh, I got something covering up. Don't tolerate ants from other colonies.
Yep.
A couple of comments. One, I don't know, he couldn't control what they were walking on, so you have that word there. The word, to me, if he could have cloned that out, that would have been great if he got that, because that obviously is distracting. And then the lower left-hand corner could have easily been corrected too. Yep. Probably much easier than the words, but getting that out would help a lot. Other than that, I love how close and the detail you get in these ants, and you're seeing that there's what I would presume, what he tells us it is, a fight.
Yeah, for sure. He's going for the and so ants submit a pheromone. Their queen submits a pheromone that those ants know what that scent is in their particular nest. So another ant comes along. And if you've ever noticed, if ants get into something and you kill an ant, then more ants show up, and it's like, well, you'd think they wouldn't show up if they found one of their own dead, but no, they'll actually bring the carcass back if they can. So it's a very cool community thing. But yeah, if this guy was trying to protect their own community, they'll attack anything. Even ants of the same species that try to get into their area, because they won't have that pheromone on them. They won't be able to pick up that scent. They'll have a different scent from a different queen on them. So
makes sense.
So yeah, it's very cool. And Mike, you hit it right on the head, man. I think cleaning up the image a little bit would have really made this, the National Geographic level stuff. I think you could have easily cleaned up the lettering and gotten rid of that, and And the big one is really the high contrast triangle in the corner. We've talked about it before, but even if you look away from this, your periphery sees orange ants, and you can do this right now. You can see an orange ant, and you see this glaring white triangle.
Yep, I can see it right now. Looking at you, and I can see it.
Right. I'm not looking at the photo, and those are the two things. That just means that triangle is competing with this wonderful action shot that you've caught, and you got the focus right on the head and where it was going on. So yeah, I would definitely clean that up a little bit. And like you said, you can't control really where this was. You don't control where this is going on. You don't pick them up and move them someplace else.
Right.
So you kind of sometimes have to do that. Yeah, Gary, definitely. It's border patrol, corner patrol, as we call it. But it's a thrilling image. I think it's great. It's just, if you want to take it to another level, maybe submit it to a contest or something, make sure you do the cleanup on it.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the next one, Jan had a question. Is it better to have your sensor pro cleaned? So if you don't feel comfortable with cleaning it yourself, you can definitely send it in. We did a video a while back. I think I did a live clean of one of my sensors, and I even did it wrong. I didn't do it quite right. But it wasn't that hard. I was really surprised at how easy it was. I need to do another, shot of that, doing it just myself. We did it as part of a podcast, but doing just that. It really, Jan, was much easier than what I thought. I have a little thing. It's probably not here handy where I can get it.
So this is what I get, Mike.
It is. It's handy right here. I can show you.
These guys. Is that what you're using?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me get it back to where people can see us.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Like that. So I use this thing. Nope.
Oh, never seen that. What's that? Oh, is that the gooey thing?
Yeah, it's the eye. What's it called? Eye lead.
Yes. So just a word of caution, because I know you guys are out there, but if you're a Fuji owner or you're a Sony owner, do not use one of those, whatever you do. Yeah. Even if they tell you they're okay, don't do it.
Yeah, I think, so this is a blue cap.
Yep.
They sell one that's maybe green, or they say is good for Sony. If you're saying it's not, then, maybe don't do it. And then
I've heard horror stories of the green one. So
yeah, so this one was for Nikon or whatever. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, definitely send it off. But basically, you just open up take the lens off, open it up. I think you put it on like cleaning mode. Make sure you got plenty of battery so that the mirror stays popped up, and then you dab your lens with this, or not your lens, your sensor with this, and then you hit this thing to take the stuff off of there, and then you keep doing it. The mistake I made was there's actually a coating here you're supposed to take off, so that when you do it, the stuff you take off sticks to this. I didn't take that off.
Gotcha.
And, before you do that, I have one of those rocket blowers. You try and blow stuff out. So you try and get most of it out without having to touch it before you're doing it. But it was easier than what I thought. It does make you nervous if you're doing this with an expensive, camera.
So just so you know, you're never, ever, 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 ever getting anywhere near your sensor.
Yeah, you're hitting glass or something before that.
There is a glass filter in the front. This is what Mike's talking about. Yes. You want one of these. This is called a rocket blower. I would highly suggest, before you ever bother trying to clean your sensor, and Gina can probably do this, is just take your lens off, tip your camera up like it's so the sensor's facing downwards. Like Mike said, flip your mirror open if you have a mirror. Yeah, if you don't have a mirror. And then you just take this thing and squeeze the crap out of it and blow it all around the inside. And a lot of times, that's all that's needed. I do this all the time when I'm in the field. A lot of people see me when I'm out shooting. I have my camera, and with this mirrorless camera, the sensor's like right in your face.
Yeah.
And it gets dirty a lot because it's right there. And I'll just take my rocket blower. I won't touch it, but I'll put it right on the rim here and just. That's me all the time with the rocket blower, and that's all that it really takes to clean your sensor. A lot of people are totally afraid of it. And then you could do the thing Mike says, or I get these in a bottle of stuff that's called Eclipse Cleaner. It's methanol, and don't let it around your kids or pets, but it's fairly not dangerous to you. I use latex gloves when I do it, just to keep the oils from my hands and stuff off it. You take one of these out, you put 3 or 4 drops on it, you swipe it across your sensor one way, slide it over, do it the other way, you're done. And all of the dust and everything is completely moved off the sensor. It's not that hard. And here's the thing. It costs ridiculous money usually to get them cleaned. If you clean it and it doesn't work, you're still going to pay the money to have it cleaned, and they're not going to charge you anymore. You can't ruin your sensor. I mean, you could, if you dumped a bunch of stuff in there, you probably could, but if you do it the way, there's plenty of tutorials online, you're not going to hurt it. I urge everybody, it's a great skill to learn. And the other tip I have for you is if you get a chance to go to an expo show like PPE or Adobe Photo Expo show or whatever, they have a bunch of them. Usually if you take your camera, Nikon, Sony, Canon, Olympus, they all bring technicians with you, and they'll clean your sensor for free, professionally, right there at the show. You give your camera to them for an hour. They call you back to the booth. You get your camera back. Yeah. I got a full professional clean when I was in New York last time. And
they do lenses too?
Yeah, they do your lens. They did my whole camera. They take one trick I saw, Mike, is you can get these detail brushes over at Michael's. They're just called a stipple brush or whatever, but they're used for dabbing on paint. You can get a whole bag of these. Don't ask me why I have all this stuff like right here next to me. You can get a whole bag of these things.
And you use that on your lens?
Nope. So you get a whole bag of these guys. They come with little brushes and big brushes. So you get a little brush like that. But here's what the technician did. He took a brush like this. He shaved off about everything but about that much of the bristles. Now, these are natural bristles. This is real horsehair bristles. You cut all that off. Make sure all the bristles are out, so you'll just work it, to get rid of them. And then you use that to clean your camera.
Okay.
On the outside, it gets every bit of dust. Your camera looks brand new by the time you're done. And so you know how dust will get in between everything, and it's a pain in the butt. Just use one of these, man. It works great. And the pros, that's exactly what they use behind the glass when they're working on them, is those. So
yeah. So Jan, if you do that, a couple of things not to do is don't use like compressed air. Only use that kind of rocket blower that AD showed you.
Yep.
Never blow in there. Never blow in there, and hold it upside down like he did. And then in the field, if it is windy, I try and put my back to the wind when I'm changing glass, and hold my camera upside down. Do that because you don't want to not change your lenses when you need to just because it's a little windy. Cool. You're going to get some dust in there. You just got to learn to deal with it later on.
Yeah, it happens, and my lenses get that. I use lens pens on my lenses.
Me too.
They work really well. You got to keep them clean, and you need to know how to use them. But yeah, so anyway, we'll share that with you guys. We got to get back to photos. So.
All right, this one up next is by what I think is a new contributor. At least if you're not, I don't remember your name, Casey Russell. And
absolutely love this photo.
To be honest, I'm not positive if Casey is a boy or girl. So we're just Casey, first time entering. It doesn't matter. Boy or girl, doesn't matter. And Casey gives us a wild bunny rabbit. So she's he or she's not giving us a lot of detail, but it's a super cute little bunny.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of throwing in a
ringer.
A ringer. Come on, what can we say about the bunny? Good color here. I like the it's not, the white balance is off a little bit. It's a little bit on the warmer side, and I like that because it's a cute little bunny. We went, it's a little bunny. So the focus is right on the eyeball. I mean, this is when we don't like nail on every photo. I mean, sometimes stuff comes across. It's a good demonstration of a cute photo that that's done right, and this is one of those that I think is a good example of a fun little photo that capturing these little guys and getting them to come near you even is in the wild is this is a wild rabbit, I believe. I don't think this is a pet. So yeah, it's just absolutely a gorgeous. Yeah, that's Gary. Our little rabbits that we have around here, our little field rabbits. They're all small eared like this too. Only the jackrabbits really have the big long ears that I've seen in the wild. So, and these aren't jackrabbits. These are just I just call them field rabbits. I don't know.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yeah, we have them. We have quite a bit of them. In fact, funny thing happened when we first got this new house. I was mowing the lawn and freaked me out. I thought it was a rat.
Yeah.
And it was a baby bunny who ran under ran under this bush, and I finally uncovered him, and he's just sitting all there against the house,
So scared.
shivering.
Yeah.
He was so scared. So yeah, I kind of got him out of there and got him out into the field where he could have fun. But so yeah, great job. There's no nothing I would do any different.
Casey, we'd love to see more. Keep submitting. All right, AD, we're running a little long, so let's just pick one more of the three.
Okay.
Of the three left, 1, 2, and 3. Which one would you like to do?
Well, Gina submitted another one. Let's talk about a winner from her, because she's,
All right.
would just show you, like, she had 2, right?
She did, yes.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
I mean, because
already got it up there.
Norman's as well. Okay, you got, all right, cool.
This is of the 3, the one I like the best. This is Gina Clark, and just you mentioned Gina did too. So we changed this a couple months ago, where it was confusing if we had a theme or if we didn't have a theme. You could submit 1 or 2. So we've made it easier where you can always submit 2 images in a month. You don't have to do 2; you can only do 1. But Gina did 2, and this was her second one up. And it says her description is "Waiting to Bloom," which is, I think, more of a name of the image.
Sure.
And then she gave us
to do that too.
She gave us some camera specs after that.
Cool.
And I love the vintage feel of this.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to say none of what she posted down there really matters to me. This is an image that it has the power, it has the colors, it's got the balance in the composition. There's anything that I would say about this image that isn't a winner. So I just wanted to pull it up there and let everybody see. We talked about her other image, which if you put these 2 images side by side, I don't think if we had a vote of which of these images do you like the best, I think even Gina would say that this was probably her more proud moment. Coming from me, I would say this would be the better of the 2 images and really shows her strong points here. So
yeah, we've gotten a number over the last couple of months. We've gotten a number, or last couple of shows at least, gotten a lot of flower photos. I think this is probably my favorite of all the flower photos we got, and we've had some good ones. But
this reminds me of like Alan Shapiro's work. He does a lot with the beautiful dark toning of these, the dark flower. But also very crisp. You can see all the little fibers and stuff going on there. The little drop of water at the top. Just a lot of mood here and story and toning. The tones are beautiful. They're complementary. They work well together. It's all the way around. She really nailed this photo. And if we didn't talk about your photo tonight, don't fret. Keep submitting, because a lot of times Mike will tell you I talk way too long, and then we have to skip around, and we'll get to your images. Just keep submitting them for sure.
Well, yes.
Great job.
All right. Now, as we get close, we're heading into the closing here. Let's talk about a couple of things. One, we talked about how to enter, also how to get the show. Let me get that pulled up. This show is available on. Let's come over to.
It's available on my TV now, and I love that.
TV. But if you go to JPEG to RAW and then go over to subscribe, and I know my little buttons aren't working right now, but the links do. You go down to Photo Review Show, and we have it on iTunes, of course, video small and large. We have it on YouTube and Vimeo. So it's only video because this show doesn't translate well into audio, I don't think. You really need to see what we're doing here. Right. So you got it on those things. And the unedited version of this will be up right away, and the edited version within a week or so. Also, we can go over and check out. I'm going to on this one say block, so don't take this negative. This is a PC I'm not on too often.
That's all right.
But you go over to AD's site, theexplorographer.com, and go to his store. He's got awesome things over there for sale. Where am I looking at? The photo tools. Yeah, there you go. You've got all kind of tools out there for Luminar, for Aurora, for Lightroom, for Photoshop, and also got some limited edition prints going on too. Where did I get that? Sign prints, right?
Yes.
That's the one?
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Some awesome images. I know there was one I picked out that I love. I love all of them, but this one here, I remember, is one of the ones that I think got me, hooked on your photography, AD.
Yeah, that image was that was a career launching image, actually, that was picked up by Yahoo. and broadcast all over the world. It blew up my website. I got up in the morning and my website was gone, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And I found out that that Yahoo picked up the story that I wrote about this place, and they published it, and didn't tell me that they were doing that. So
They crashed your site.
and so that led me to not being self-hosted anymore. I was actually running a website on a server in my house, and it taught me a lot about having a hosted server and getting my website someplace that could handle the traffic and all of that kind of stuff. So that image was a real turnaround for me. Nobody knew me or knew my name, and that led to being on PBS and all sorts of fun stuff from that image. So
I didn't know that story.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. And then you have thecreators.com over on Patreon, Patreon/thecreators, but you can get there from your site too. What's going on over there? What are you up to over there?
Well, we do tutorials, and we do live streams like here. We just had one on Topaz Studio and creativity and how to kind of get wild and crazy like Gina did with her photo, and with the colors and tones and all different things with Topaz Studio. But we do basically what I do is tutorials on demand. If you're a photographer and you're like, man, I can't seem to figure out this, then you say, hey, AD, I can't figure this out, and I will do a video on it, or maybe a series of videos. And it not only helps you, but it helps other people out as well. One of the things that we're going to do, that's one of the photos that we processed and just...
I remember that. I watched that live, yeah.
We had crazy fun. I showed how much you could really change a photo from a... That was a summer photo. It was taken in the middle of summer. Those leaves are all green, but I changed them all to look like it was, in the dead of autumn to kind of support the old car there. But we were just messing around, kind of. And that's what I kind of like to do. We're going to do a thing. I'm going to announce it this week where people can submit their photos. They can upload them to me. I will do a live edit on their photo and walk through everything that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it'll help them out and hopefully help other people out. Maybe Absolutely. Give them some creative thoughts. We just got I think 3 new patrons just joined up, and so it's cool to see new faces and I do the live streams like Monday nights, but I really do I'll do them any time. And then we have higher levels like mentorships and things like that. But you could just come in for $1 a month, and it's cheap entertainment.
So I'm not logged in right now, but so it looks like I'm just somebody who's not a patron. I'm actually a patron. It's really easy. Once you sign up on Patreon, it's really easy. You find some people that you want to support, and you, like AD said, everybody's a little different on how what their minimum rate is and what they offer as you go up on the line. Like you said, you can start off at $1. Then you can go to $5. And you get some more things. You can go to 35, which I think you get the mentoring, which is where mentoring starts. And then you can a few more steps after that, 50 for full mentoring, and then the ultimate, at 75. And you can stop at any time you want. Right?
Yeah. There's no contract. That's the nice thing, is that you can be like a patron for maybe 4 months or 2 months or whatever you want. And then you could be like, you know what? I have to take some time off. You can take some time off and then rejoin when you get some more free time. And the thing I like to do is I'll make videos and they probably won't be that interesting to you because it's just things I want to make a video on. But the best way to do it is to come in and get in the community and make a post on my Patreon page and say, I'd like to see a video about this, or I'd like to see a video about that, and I'll cover those subjects. So
very good. One thing before we close, Christina out there says she is a girl, and I'm just seeing it now. But I'm thinking she's referring back to Casey. Casey is a girl, which, awesome. Name could have been either way, but I bet you they told me that, or I knew that when I was on Facebook and I just forgot. But just to clear that up, Casey is a girl.
I'm an equal opportunity critiquer, so
it doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter either way.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, AD. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We're going to head into the post show, and we'll be back soon with what we just do. We're going to come back with the June images. So we just Yeah, we just did 32, and that was, this is 31. We just finished
31, 32
Yeah,
is
so
next.
32 is next, and that's where we'll start the June images. There are some fantastic images in June, and we're going to have to do it over 3 shows because there were so
it's
many
big.
images. So it's going to be a big one. We're going to be doing June for a little while. All right, so until next show, keep shooting. Good night, everybody.